What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right. So before I get into this video, I want to give a shout out to Ticket TV because he's the first one I saw breaking this story in the LDBC. Also, I want to give a shout out to Percy. I saw your contribution just now. Thank you a lot, Percy, for your contribution. And I also want to thank once again Otis for his contributions and the super chat today. Um, saying much respect to everybody that contributed, and whether it was through monetary contributions or just through the chat itself. And also, I got to make sure I rent you up next time, Otis. All right. Um, but the big story right now is that Chris Paul is on the move. And again, according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski and the Stadium and Athletics Shams Charania, Chris Paul has been traded to the Phoenix Suns. Okay. OKC will reportedly receive Ricky Rubio, Kelly Oubre, Ty Jerome, Jalen Lecure, I guess is how you pronounce it, might not be correct, and draft compensation in exchange for Chris Paul. This is the third time Chris Paul has been traded since 2017 after going from the Clippers to the Rockets and then from the Rockets to the Thunder in the past few seasons. The trade to OKC sent Russell Westbrook to Houston, seemingly signaling a rebuild after the Thunder had also traded away Paul George. There was plenty of speculation that Paul would be flipped again before this past season or agreed to a buyout to move to a contender, but he stayed with the team and turned it into a playoff squad. Despite low expectations entering this past season, the Thunder earned the number 5 seed in the Western Conference and took the Rockets to 7 games before losing in the first round. They didn't just take them to 7 games, they took them to the very end of that game. I mean, it was a struggle for Houston to overcome OKC. Um, Paul was a key part of the team's success, averaging 17.6 points, 5 rebounds, and 6.7 assists per game. He was the team's lone All Star. It was the 10th All Star selection of his Hall of Fame career and led the team with 8.9 win shares. The 35-year-old remains a reliable player who can help on both ends of the court, leading the league in assists 4 times and steals, an NBA record 6 times. He has been named first team All Defense 7 times in his career. Paul will now get another chance to help a young team raise its expectations going into the season. The Suns have quality young players in Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, but they haven't made the playoffs in 10 seasons, going all the way back to the end of the Steve Nash era, and could use another veteran to help get the most out of the roster. This deal also helps clear Paul's salary, with the veteran set to make $41.4 million next season. He also has a $44.2 million player option for 2021-2022. I thought that this would be I think I did a video a couple of days ago saying I thought this would probably be the best situation for Chris Paul rather than New York. At his age, 35, it makes sense going to a team that at least has playoff capabilities rather than the Knicks. That's just the Knicks, man. Look, I'm not trying to depress Knicks fans or anything like that, but the Knicks right now are a clusterfuck. Nobody really wants to go there, and they're nowhere near a playoff appearance, in my opinion. They're way too dysfunctional. The whole hierarchy of that organization is just too dysfunctional right now. I think James Dolan is the problem, But um, with Phoenix, you kill two birds with one stone with this trade. You get Chris Paul to a team that's at least a playoff contender, and you also help to at least temporarily, alleviate Devin Booker's frustration. There's been a lot of reports that he had been frustrated, may have been looking to leave Phoenix because of the fact that, he's been on a team where he's putting up big numbers, or very, really good numbers, or big numbers, but, it's not translating to success, at least to the point where they're making the playoffs. So hopefully with, Chris Paul, one of the great point guards in the history of the NBA, I know he gets a rap for being a choker, but I think that's very unfair. I would never put Chris Paul in the same category as a Russell Westbrook or a definitely a James Harden in that scenario. Um, because with Chris Paul, it really was misfortune, whether it was inopportune injuries at the wrong time, him or his teammates, uh, or whether it was, a situation where I don't know, just bad luck on his part, um, bad matchups. I mean, it's just, look, we were probably looking at Chris Paul in a totally different light if I said this before, if that Kobe Bryant trade, well, not Kobe Bryant trade, if that Lakers trade when Kobe was on the team didn't get nixed before by the league, he probably would have won at least one championship out of that deal, maybe two. And then if he didn't get injured in 2018, I think it was, I sometimes forget whether it was 17 or 18, I think it was 18, when the Rockets won 65 games that year. Um, what would have happened if he didn't get injured and played those last two games when the Rockets were up 3-2 against the Warriors? Uh, Maybe that's another championship because I think if they beat the Warriors, they definitely would have beaten, um, Cleveland in the finals. So Chris Paul could be a 2, 3 time champion, and we'd be looking at him differently. Then the argument would be, excuse me. Then the argument would be whether or not Chris Paul is the greatest little man of all time. So this is a great opportunity for Chris Paul, but a better opportunity for Phoenix Suns to get back to a playoff preeminence. Get back to a winning uh, foundation at least. You know, um, Devin Booker, Aiton. Those guys are talented, but they're young, and Chris Paul. I'm pretty sure his veteran presence, he'll be able to. I think you see his effectiveness better down the stretch of games. His days of dominating a game, in the fashion that he did back in his Hornets years or earlier Clippers years are done. I mean, he still can put his imprint on games, but it's in key moments or it's in controlling the tempo of a game. But as a player, he's slowed down a lot, but that's not his value here. His value here would be his veteran leadership and uh, how to, how can I say this? How to play or how to lead his team down a stretch of games. That'll be his value here in Phoenix because he's going to have some firepower there. But the problem is you just have a lot of young guys who don't know exactly how to execute down the stretch of some of these games. I know Hitman X is going to love this trade though. I know Hitman X being ticket chat all the time. He's a huge Phoenix Suns fan. So I know he loves this trade. But tell me what you guys think.